I think for us, this is a big week when we look at the market. We will, of course, every week we understand what's been going on with the banking failures. A lot of us have been seeing, the uptick in crypto, and in some instances it doesn't make sense, but then it does. Um, but this is the time to really put on our thinking caps in this whole scenario, and not to get too bullish on seeing price spike, because that's what happens. We've been kind of in this lull for a long time, and any action is some good action for most people, right? And it just depends on how you look at it. So I just want us to be very, very cautious of where we are in the overall, right? It's always good to step back and look at the overall picture, look at everything that's going on. I do believe that what's going on with the banks does put crypto in a stronger position, because people are starting to see, like, this is the first time this has ever happened where you have a bank failure, you have a bank run, so to speak. Um, and the Fed and inflation is out of control, and the Fed is really at a point where their hands are really tied on the tools that they can use to kind of bring us out of this. Um, and people actually have another option to go to. So I think this is very rare times that we're in. So what, like I said, with the banking and everything going down, um, we really got to be paying attention. I still don't believe, and again, this is just my opinion, I still don't believe that we've hit rock bottom just yet. I think the system is breaking, but I don't think it's broke yet. And just, if you just study what happens in markets, you study how cycles go. You have to have the catastrophic, basically, death nail before things can turn around. Um, and we just haven't seen that yet. So I do believe that the Fed will come in, and and I think we'll get a decision tomorrow. The Fed meeting for March is tomorrow. They'll talk about if they're going to raise rates. I still believe that they will, but that's what the market is kind of waiting to see. Which way the Fed is going to go. And I just believe that. Yeah, they're in a tight spot. I think this is history that we're witnessing right now. I want you guys to really, really be cognizant of the fact that we're really witnessing history right now. Because I remember in 2008, I was in it from the standpoint, I've never seen it before, and I was just experiencing it and dealing with the ups, the highs, the lows, and all that. But to actually be able to step back and see it for what it is very important. Miss Niche for the day. So um, that's what we're waiting to see tomorrow. What they're going to do with the economy? Are they going to raise it? And even in still, like I said, when we look at the overall picture of what crypto is, please keep in mind that it's not just crypto; it's the overall economic, um, macroeconomic condition that you got to be really looking at. And it's a lot of trouble coming, and just for the simple fact that, don't believe that all of this money is just going to flood into cryptocurrency automatically, because the big money still can't come in because we don't have regulations. So before we really be able to take off and really go to the next level, I think some of those things have to fall in place first. But at the end of the day, I think the advantage that we have is that we are traders, and we can look at the actual charts to see, the news can be whatever the news can be whatever the news is supposed to be, or whatever comes out. But I think the charts are always going to technically sound tell us where we are in the market and what we should be looking for. So we'll get into the charts today. I have pretty much drawn out, like a point that I'm looking at is, if we get above this point, then this is broken structure, and we are in a bullish structure at that particular point. But if it does not break this particular point, then we're it's just a bear market rally, and we're still can look for lower, right? So that's what I'm still seeing, because even if you just think about some of the money that was in the system still has to come out, and that's still there. So by them giving everybody back their money, the question is, and this is what I've been thinking about, I've been getting some calls over this past week, from a lot of people who are scared about what they're going to do with their money. Because yes, the bank said, I'll we're going to backstop everybody if you over 250,000. We're not, your deposits are still secure. But still, don't think that didn't scare the what out of a bunch of people, right? And they're still thinking like, well, man, what am I going to do with this money? So a lot of them are moving, taking out of smaller banks and moving into your too big to fail banks, your Chases, your not Washington Mutual, Wells Fargo's, those type of banks. They're moving over, but there's a lot of banks that are in trouble. So again, I always have to to reiterate to you guys that self custody, learning how to hold your own funds is very important. And then having a certain portion in assets that are going to be working for you instead of working against you, I think is very important. Again, not financial advice, but you have to figure that out for yourself. And then, like I said, so today we'll look at the question is this the end of the banking system as we know it, right? Again, this had, like, when the banks failed in 2008, there was not another alternative, right? Now there is, and you're starting to see more and more. And basically, people, because of social media and because we can share information so quickly, people really have a great understanding that the banks have no money. Like, they have no money. And if people start, if people start to ask for that money back, ask for those deposit back, we can be in some really big trouble, right? And the only way that we get out of that is that, of course, the Fed has to come out and print more money, which will send inflation through the roof, which will, again, for us, if we're in deflational investments like crypto, like some of the other ones that we're looking at, then that benefits us. But we have to see that first. So that's why I say let's stick our toe in the water, maybe at some of these levels. Like I'm seeing XRP is starting to pump. But let's be cautious and just weigh the risk to say, if I get XRP at 45 cents, or I get XRP at 40 cents, or whatever the case may be. But top side, worst case scenario, we looking at $3.84. Does that make sense for me? The projected high, I heard the other day, which would make sense because it's just a 10x of the high, is around $32. So, does it make sense for you to just start to nibble a bit right now? So, like I said, you have to understand what's your plan and what's going to work best for you. So we'll get into that. And then again, looking at some of the other global markets, where I have the top China coins that we're going to take a look at, and they have some pretty good returns on those as well. So, and then we'll check the chart. So that's where we are today. First and foremost, let's get into this. So when we talk about diversity,